Insane, these variations. Problem of the day. Problem of the day. Let's see what we get today. Appreciate it. Trashy Dude. Oh my god. Long time no see. Trashy Dude is a long time viewer and subscriber of the channel. And we're playing them now. 2400. Anas, thanks for the follow. Let's just do h5, g5, and then just f4. On bishop takes, we'll go rook g1. It's interesting. Very interesting game. I think this is my best chance. That part is so funny. You have to go. You have to win this. What? Wait, what? Almost got me there. Wow, that was some good stuff. This game was overall very interesting, and I think we can take away a lot of good points from
this Sicilian. We started off e4, c5, and knight f3, g6, and this is the move that is less common. It's called the hyper accelerated dragon. What this is that instead of playing d6 or knight c6, which are the typical dragons, black hyper accelerates, literally in the name of the opening, their dragon with g6, which means they play g6 before moves like knight f6, d6, knight c6. And we get to this point where it can be tricky. I'm going to show you a line that I know. Here after bishop c4, because black have not pushed d6 yet, they can enter a line like queen b6, notorious of the hyper accelerated dragon. Now queen b6 is a double-edged sword. It attacks b2, and the line that I know is bishop b3, then the knight comes sacrificing itself on e4 for a discovered attack with this bishop, knight, and queen, and then you go knight d5, queen here, c3, still attacking this knight, the knight goes to c5, then we take this knight to gain back this pawn as the white pieces, black takes back, and then we go knight e7 check, and we take on c8, and once they take back, this is usually the position that I know from the hyper-accelerated dragon. Now this is exactly how I know it, but for the fact that black plays d6 here. I don't think it's a mistake. Game Review is saying it's a mistake. You're just transposing into a normal, classical Sicilian dragon. And that's kind of like the psychological edge that black tries to play here. So d6. And now I play my typical opening theory, queen d2, preparing to castle long, and now I castle. And typical of the Sicilian, you have opposite side castling, and the idea here is that white will attack the black king, and the black pieces will also attack the white king, usually with, I think this plan is very, very normal here with b5, and also b takes or rook takes here. And some of that actually happened, actually no, okay, a6. This is kind of like a Nadorf type of setup with a6, b5, right? So h4, b5, and now bishop b3. And here I keep my bishop on this sniper diagonal while slowly but surely bringing up my pawns. And usually, if you're lucky, a lot of model games have this bishop and these pawns culminating for astounding tactics together. Not in this game though. Knight takes d4, bishop takes, and now h6. h6 is a quite a mistake here, and I can't believe I didn't catch it because it's quite an obvious one. Here, white to play and win. Try to pause the video and solve the problem. It's not like I'm checkmating the opponent, but white still has the very winning bishop takes f6. And here black have two choices of recapture. If you take with the e pawn, you stop defending this d6 pawn, and now queen takes d6, and it gets a little ugly. Bishop here, we take, and then you can even take this pawn up, and this is completely winning. Or you can take with the bishop, and here you stop defending the h-pawn, and somehow this is looking a bit more scary because the white pieces are just engaging even more in their attack and succeeding at it big time. So I missed this and I played g4, and now knight e8. I should have taken on g7 apparently, forcing the king to take back to defend h6, and now I have e5, a very nice move, just putting pressure on this pawn structure, and if black takes, I would take this bishop and win a piece. And so here, okay, you can reply with a5, but I have queen d4, and we have some very interesting things piling up this pressure here. So the king goes out of this discovered check threat, h5, and overall Stockfish really likes this variation. g5, e takes d6, knight takes, and rook h e1. And here, white has an open position, very active pieces compared to black's pieces that are a bit less active. Instead of taking this bishop, I play h5, kind of threatening to take, and then take here, and then take on h6. So overall, just trying to open up the h-file. A very common attacking device, in the Sicilian especially, is opening up files on the king. So here, I absolutely want to open up the h-file, and anticipating the closure of this position with g5, now I go f4. This was my plan. Again, Stockfish doesn't like this, but they do like bishop takes g7. They have an obsession with this. King takes and e5 as we saw. Anyways, I go f4, which loses a pawn. And they actually don't like this because here, once again, I have this very nice move. And this is going to be a notable move throughout the game that I kind of missed, is e5. And this time we have ideas to attack f4 with the queen. And it kind of opens up this subsection of the game in which it's very hard for black to defend this f4 pawn, and they even have to give it up. But before we take, Stockfish suggests we go g5 here, common recurring theme in the game. And if the queen is to take, it's absolutely losing for the black pieces because this pin just wins it. So the h pawn takes, and now we go rook hg1, just putting pressure and threatening this f4 pawn. Very hard to defend this. King here to get out of this pinned, so we cannot take this pawn, and now knight e4. And Stockfish just loves the placement of our pieces and the fact that black, for their attack, is completely dead and their pieces are not active at all. These rooks are not even connected, and overall the white pieces have much more compensation for that pawn down that's lost on f4. What I missed in this position is that black has an in-between move that is very nice and that kind of seals up this position. What I had in mind was that on h takes g5, I had rook dg1, and if something like e6 to defend the pawn, here I had rook takes g5, queen takes g5, and rook g1, pinning the queen to the king. Here my opponent finds a really good move and actually ranked great by the engine. This is the in-between move, in between, because it attacks a superior piece before this threat is met with, right? So I have to move my queen here and kind of seals up the position. Look at this beautiful pawn chain in a Sicilian, very rare type of pawn chain that we see here. And here I go queen g1. Now, my opponent has a very good move that's kind of tough to see because it's kind of counterintuitive. They need to take here with the h-pawn. H takes g5, and positively, this position is officially closed up like a Disneyland park. King h7 and then f6, and this position is closed, which is really surprising. King h7, getting out of this diagonal, and then f6, and suddenly all these pawns make a really good barricade against my attacking pieces that are only heavy pieces left, so I can't really hinder and pick at these pawns. They're very stable. My opponent made the second good move that is still winning for the black pieces, but this queen takes g5 comes with a little bread for the white pieces. Here I go queen b6 and directly threaten rook g1, pinning the queen to the king and winning the queen, right? So the black pieces need to react. King h8 was played. Now rook dg1, tempo on the queen, and now this is one little mistake that the black pieces make. Queen f6, a little mistake. Instead, they should have gone queen d8 and used the tempo that I gained to gain tempo on my queen, because they would love to go to an endgame, liquidate pieces, exchange queens off the board, because they are winning with 2 pawns up, I believe. So they would love to do this, and so now I would have to react by bringing my queen down, which means tempo and initiative for the black pieces. So here, this move, leaving me with knight d5, letting me attack the queen for a free move, basically, because this would have been the same position, is a little small improvement on my position for the white pieces. Now, knight f6 is played. Knight f6, best move of the position. But it allows something that changed the psychology of the entire game, because for the first time in this game, I get to play a very attacking move that seems like it makes the position better for the white pieces. But if you ignore this sacrifice and just play like knight g4, attacking my queen, I don't have much. It is only on the condition that you accept this sacrifice that now this becomes interesting for the white pieces. Here I would have queen takes f4 threatening this pawn on h6, a very valuable pawn. And let's say you were to defend this pawn with knight g8. Now this is completely winning for the white pieces because I have rook takes g8. And if you take with this rook, I have checkmate. And if you take with the king, we have rook g1 check, king h7 to defend this pawn. If you go king h8, it's mate here as well. So check, king h7, and here the final move, bishop takes f7. I know we just took a pawn here, but it's super winning because we are threatening rook g6. This square is gained by the pawn that was on f7, the black pawn taking up this square. So we're threatening rook g6 and then rook queen takes h6 checkmate. So hard to defend against, and here Stockfish evaluates this position plus 10 for the white pieces. In fact, the best move that black can play in this position is knight h7, and here queen takes h6, queen f6, And now rook g6 is still a bit bigger edge for the black pieces here after queen e5. But none of this happened in my game. My opponent did not want to dive into this variation and played the right move, knight g4, attacking my queen. And here I just took. The reason I took is that if I let black come up with these aggressive moves that attack my position while I'm down material, so I think I'm down still a pawn here, that would give them a lot of fuel to keep up with their position, and that's not something I can afford. So I go all in and take on g4. Bishop takes g4, and now knight back to d5. I am solely going on the fact that my pieces are better than theirs. In fact, these rooks are not so active at all, and this knight and this bishop have some potential in terms of knight f6, getting to this very nice square, controlling everything in the black position, and opening up this bishop on this long diagonal once again, and putting this rook on this open g-file very close to the king. So I'm betting on the fact that I can get these pieces to places pretty fairly easily. Like, it's very possible that I can get these pieces to these squares to outplay the black pieces. And so sort of this happens. Knight f6 gets accomplished. I open up my bishop on this diagonal. Don't want to take this bishop on e6 though. But just to illustrate, I'm about to play rook f1 to defend this knight, and then I'm about to play queen d2 to attack this h6 pawn. So I have things rolling. Now, bishop b3, as you saw in the game, is a blunder because I have queen f5. Never assume that your opponent did the best move in a position. Always look for different moves that win, and queen f5 is one of them. Here we're threatening queen h7 checkmate. You need to sack your queen, and here we get a full queen for this tactic. It's unbelievable. And so here I had troubles with conversions. I'm not gonna lie. In this position, I almost gave up, and I literally said it in the video. Like, if I don't find h7 check, I'm pretty cooked, because I'm giving out a rook here. And I almost conceded, but thankfully I saw the last piece of the puzzle that let me break through in this position. I have no good moves if I am to try to work rook around this and just play my queen, because two rooks against a queen is a bit better, and especially in this position, I think black would have at least a draw. So me really trying for this win here, I finally find the push, h7 check, very important, to deflect the king off of the defense of the f7 square. If you're too reluctant, I'll just queen here, and this is pretty over with queen h6, I believe, something like this. And so king takes, and this wins at least a rook. But yeah, I missed mate in 3, check, 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 and then checkmate. I think I was low on time though. Yeah, I had 13 seconds, so this makes sense. Navigating through all the checks, and finally we have checkmate in this position. I hope you enjoyed this win against a 2400 in the Sicilian Dragon. Have an amazing day, and yeah, see you next time. Peace.